I really wasn't expecting that at all. After the last couple of days of roster moves, I predicted in yesterday's video that the Eagles may be parting ways with either Sidney Jones or Rasul Douglas. I did not for a second even contemplate the fact they would cut both of them. And that, believe it or not, guys, is just the start of what is a monumental mountain of information to break down. So buckle up, the 53-man roster is here. We're going to split this up over 2 videos. One of them will be a Sunday fun day, providing the Eagles don't ruin it again. So we're going to go over the entire 53-man roster tomorrow, giving you guys my opinions, analysis, and what I would have done differently than Howie Roseman. And today, we're going to focus on the Eagles who failed to make the cut, the guys who were just shy of making the 53-man roster. If you're new to the channel and you do enjoy it, it would be amazing if you could hit that like button. I'd love to see you guys stick around this channel and join our community. We're providing you with as much Eagles coverage as we can. And if you're watching this before the Flyers game, hopefully we'll see you in our watch along for Game 7. But we're going to get right on to the juicy stuff, and that is that somehow Sidney Jones and Rasul Douglas were both cut, which now means the Philadelphia Eagles cornerback depth chart consists of Darius Slay, Avonte Maddox, Nickel Roby-Coleman, Cravon LeBlanc, and Craig James. That's it. And this is a position we know has been haunted by injury. Now, admittedly, Jones isn't there anymore. Admittedly, Jalen Mills has moved to safety, which I think may have attributed to that decision. The Eagles know they've got Jalen Mills, someone that has played outside cornerback ever since he first stepped onto the scene in 2016 in relief of Laodis McKelvin and never really looked back. Now, was he perfect? Absolutely not. But I think that if Jalen Mills has been more sufficient, more capable, more competent than what we have seen from guys such as Sidney Jones and Rasul Douglas in camp, then why shouldn't the Eagles at least experiment and go, hey, do you know what? Like, we've seen Mills at cornerback. We know we've got Kayvon Wallace at safety. We know Will Parks can play the role quite well. Rodney McLeod for 2 years. I think we can afford to flex Jalen Mills down if absolutely needed. The positionless defense, I think, has to factor into this right now. Mills is a safety technically. I think personally that he's going to end up playing some cornerback because otherwise there is no way the Eagles would leave their position that bare bones. It is just, it's a real shame. Now, Sidney Jones, I think, was a little bit more understandable. The guy missed pretty much every training camp practice bar about 3. And in those practices didn't exactly set the world on fire when that was really the bar. He had to. He was facing Avonte Maddox, who had been consistent throughout camp, making plays throughout camp. There is no preseason. There is no 4-game period to win this over your teammate. It is what you do in the summer is absolutely everything. And if Jones was a step back or he couldn't get on the field, then I absolutely understand the decision. Both players in their contract years. It sucks. I mean, Sidney Jones, I had really high hopes for, a former 2nd-round pick, and when healthy, is a really good cornerback. Like, I think he has had flurries of being a really good cornerback. Without Sidney Jones, the Eagles wouldn't have made the playoffs. Let's just be dead honest last year, where those massive plays, those clutch plays right at the end of the season, if those had been touchdowns, that offseason would have been very different and the Eagles would not have been to the playoffs against Seattle. So make of it what you will. I think Jones is going to catch on somewhere else. Health has obviously been the big thing there. Hopefully, I mean, I'm still rooting for him. I hope he gets his career on track and his legs back under him again. It's a shame to see that tenure come to an end, but the Eagles have exhausted every single opportunity. The guy was a 2nd-round pick. He missed his rookie year, all bar 1 game in Week 17. He should have been a starter in 2018. He should have been a starter in 2019. He should be a starter in 2020. None of that's the case. And unfortunately, outside of being given the starting reins for a bit in 2019, when injuries and inconsistencies and being benched for 4 games come back to haunt him, I think the Eagles made the right call here. As for Rasul Douglas, I think we all saw it coming. Like, I put videos on this channel earlier this offseason where he had been shopped around. That wasn't the last time that would happen. Both players shopped around the trade window again today. No takers. And Douglas's gamble on himself to take a lesser contract, to take a pay cut, to give him that leverage against someone with maybe a more expensive deal if the play levels were similar, didn't work. Douglas is now cut. But I think of the two, Douglas will have the better chance of catching on somewhere. If you put him into a zone defense, somewhere like Seattle, where he's not relying on that speed, whereas in Philadelphia, if he's shading inside and you're expecting safety help and that safety buzzes down, you're screwed. I think if you give him that safety blanket, if you give him that help, if you give him a system that works and allows him to play to his strengths, then he'll absolutely have a good career. In my opinion, I think he's Eric Rowe 2.0. I can see this coming a mile away. Somewhere like New England, somewhere like Seattle, I think he's going to catch on, have himself a good career. You've not heard the last of Rasul Douglas, I don't think, especially after all the work he's done this offseason in really trying to help his launch off the line, help that footwork become a lot less sticky. I think we'll see some more of Douglas in the future. And again, fingers crossed for both of these guys. They're two players I was personally rooting for. I didn't want to see them cut, but it is what it is. Player that wasn't a surprise though, unfortunately, was Shareef Miller, and again, a 4th round pick last year. That's a 2nd, a 3rd, and a 4th round pick. All of them cut today, and that's not even the last draft pick. This is really, really, really bad. Shareef Miller, who guaranteed 10 sacks in year 2, didn't make the roster. This is a guy that had 3 special team snaps last year, guaranteed us 10 sacks in year 2. I don't know, man. There is something that just doesn't sit right with me with Shareef Miller. I think it was a bad pick. Like, I did the film room. It was the only rookie, really, out of last year, including Clayton Dawson, that I was genuinely low on. Like, I was genuinely a bit upset. All he had in his skill set was a bull rush. Outside of that, there wasn't much cooking. He needed a big development year. A lack of OTAs, a lack of preseason probably hurt him, but not a good look. Not a good look at all. And again, I think he'll be stashed on the practice squad. I think he'll absolutely come back to the Eagles and be given a full year to work with Matt Burke and to really try and find some extra assets in his game. It's way too soon to call him a bust, but it's certainly not looking good. One negative surprise, though, was Joe Ostman, someone that had clearly outperformed Miller at every which way turn. Doesn't make the roster again. It's another practice squad stash, despite recovering from a torn ACL, despite bullying Jordan Mailata. And I want to just compartmentalize this, okay? Jordan Mailata, who had been bullied by Joe Ostman all summer long, makes the roster, okay? Joe Ostman doesn't. And I don't get that. I think that if left tackle is that much of a concern, if Joe Ostman doesn't make the roster and is bullied Jordan Mailata, and Mailata makes the cut as either a starter or a bad, that's not good. That is really not, that's an alarm bell for me. That is a massive red flag. On another note though, I don't want to spoil too much of tomorrow's video, but it's really nice seeing Casey Toohill, the 7th round pick from this year, make the roster. Fair play, Toohill. A very strong camp, and again, like we've already learned here, that how he's not afraid to part ways with rookies or former draft picks, and seeing Toohill actually do enough to prove the coaching staff worthy of a roster spot. Fair play. Jannard Avery snuck on as well. Again, we'll touch on this in tomorrow's video. I just want to go over the cuts today. And while we're talking of cuts, the Eagles are rolling with 2 tight ends, it looks like, and that does terrify me. Now, I understand that Josh Perkins is currently sat on IR. He could be activated after 4 weeks. Oh my God, it's sticky. Like, it is really sticky. We know how much the Eagles lean on 12 personnel. We know how much the Eagles thrive with Goddard and Ertz, and when one goes down, we know how chaotic it gets. Now, Noah Togai was one of the priority undrafted free agents, one of the guys given the highest contracts of the entire undrafted pool. Doesn't make the cut despite Caleb Wilson, despite the other tight end not doing it. They decide to cut him as well. I don't agree with it. I'd have much rather kept him around, had a 3 tight end system. It allows you to run 13 personnel as well. They're not doing that. I get Josh Perkins is sat on IR, but I don't like it. I really don't like that at all. Anthony Rush and Raekwon Williams were both cut. I think they will both make the practice squad. Rush, as you guys know, I've been massively high on for a while out of UAB. Sucks up double teams really well. Is one of the more oversized defensive tackles in the league, if you will. Think of him as just an absolute freight train. He allows the other guys around him to thrive. I really like his game. Raekwon Williams, undrafted free agent this year. Stellar career with the Spartans, and I think both of those guys can be left to marinate and develop behind what is, again, a very elite defensive tackle group. You've got Cox, Hargrave, Jackson, Ridgeway. I think you need much more than that, to be honest. That's a very solid 4-man rotation. I think it's better than the 2017 rotation, where you had Bo Allen and Destiny Vio there. So, again, I'm good with that. I think that makes sense. As for the offensive line, though, oh, buddy. All right, it's going to get good, guys. So, the Eagles, of course, drafted 2 offensive linemen this year, by the way, of Jack Driscoll and Prince Tega Wannigo, both of them from Auburn. We did a film breaking down their skill sets. I was much higher on Driscoll than Prince Tega Wannigo. He was much slower off the line, a lot less agile, a lot more power-based. By all accounts, in camp, didn't have the strongest time at all, which I suppose in the urgency of the situation is easy to see why he doesn't make the roster. We're bearing in mind here the Eagles are toying with Jordan Mailata or Matt Pryor playing left tackle against Chase Young in week 1. So clearly time's working against them. They need the depth, and if Prince Tega Wannigo is not there and it enables them to keep Driscoll behind, then so be it. Interestingly though, they go very light at offensive line. They usually focus on 10 to 11 guys. They've only got 8 this year. That is a little bit worrying. Again, practice squad will be crucial if you can rotate guys like Prince Tega Wannigo on and off the roster, but certainly less than ideal. Petter was the other man not to make the roster, and in his place Nate Herbig will. So nice to see Nate Herbig, who arrived on the scene last year. He makes the cut this time. He'll be the primary backup guard with Matt Pryor, or I suppose Jason Peters, starting. He'll be the guy swinging between left and right. So I like that. I like they're continuing with consistency, developing that offensive line. We just have to hope that Prince Tega Wannigo moves up, because at the minute, the team have cut a flurry of former draft picks. Prince Tega Wannigo's gone. Sidney Jones has gone. Rasul Douglas has gone. Sharif Millet has gone. 4 of the 9 players cut today drafted by the Eagles in the past. That is not a good look for Howie Roseman by any stretch of the imagination. He said in his presser there should be more moves coming today. Guys, we'll evaluate the final roster tomorrow, do a position by position breakdown. Let me know what you think. I'm sure you have got a lot of opinions you've got to get off your chest, so let me know down in the comments. You can follow me on Twitter at LiamJenkinsPSN. I'll see you soon.